discuss the topic for the day? So, can we start with you, Peter? Can we start with you? Can you hear me?
Yes, madam, we can hear you.
All right. So, who are the others? I would want all of you to very quickly give an introduction of yourselves so that I know exactly who all are there. I can only see two people on the screen. I can see you and also Peter, but I don't know who are the others. Are there any more there in the session today or not? Or there are just the two of you?
Madam, please, there are about another 4 or 5 or so that will join us. Because normally when we meet for counseling sessions, I see like 6, 7 people always around.
All right. So you think it's a good idea to wait for 2 to 3 minutes before they join in also?
Yes, I think we will go to the platform and then remind them that it's time for them to come
All
online.
right. So how have the previous sessions gone? Did you find them of use? Did you find them interesting? How were the sessions yesterday, day before, and so on?
Personally, the sessions so far has been very interesting. Unfortunately for me, Wednesday I think I joined in later, but apart from Wednesday, all the other days I was there, and then the sessions has been very good through discussion. And last Sunday, yesterday's on was even a very nice one that we have to share what is happening in our school based on the curriculum, the decisions that have been taken. So it is very nice. It is very nice program.
All right. So good to hear that, and I'm sure that you people are participating and making all this very interactive because that's the purpose that you people should be able to bring to the session your own experiences in the schools. And I hope you people are doing that. I also hope that you are able to browse a little of the content which is given on the portal there. I mean, all the material has been put there online for you, and you people can actually sit for a while and kind of try to browse and see what discussions have taken place there, because in the counseling sessions we have discussions almost broadly based on the materials which are there on the net, so that gives some kind of a linkage to what is there loaded on the sites, and what takes place, what kind of discussion takes place in these kind of sessions here. I hope you are able to do that. Is that right, or not able to do actually?
Well, yes, we all have access to our portal, and then we have started downloading and also reading online.
All right, that is nice.
Yes.
Okay, so now let me start the session, which all of you must be knowing. It is MES 004. 004 is the first course of the PGDSLM. And first block, more or less, I had done on the first day itself. On the 4th of February, when the counseling session started, I had undertaken a discussion based on the first block. Today, I will be discussing uh, the main themes. I have selected some themes from the second block, and whatever is remaining, we will be doing that later on in the subsequent sessions. So, the second block is called the Principles and Techniques of School Management. And herein, we have discussed 4 to 5 techniques which are broadly used by the head teachers and the school principals and so on and so forth.
Sorry,
Uh,
ma'am. I can't see your presentation, ma'am, please.
the presentation is yet to come. I have not started it yet.
Okay. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So basically, in the second block, like I was saying, the second block is known as the principles and techniques of school management. 4 to 5 techniques have been discussed in details in the units over there. I will be taking only about 3. The remaining we can take up for discussion in the subsequent sessions. The techniques that I have taken, the first one is known as the delegation of responsibilities. The second was about communications and negotiations. And the third is about the management of meetings. What remains will be management of conflicts and negotiation, and decision making and problem solving. These are 2 which I thought that because of the paucity of time I may not be able to take up during this session, but nevertheless this can be taken subsequently. In fact, if you people read these 2 units and come up with the problems or discussion points, we can take it up later on, in the third class that I do with you. Let me come to the presentation now. We will begin with a discussion on what exactly is meant by school management. So before I proceed, can I actually ask you people to share your understanding of what is school management? What do you understand by school management? Is anybody going to volunteer and come up with an answer, a response? And I'm not going to be bothered about whether it is a correct or not a correct response, because the idea is just to get I mean, just to get an insight into what exactly do you people understand. How have you people formulated and concretized it for yourself? Because school management is something which is very commonly used. It is something which one cannot escape. So technical definition is not something that I'm looking for. I'm just looking for an idea of what it means to you. So let's very quickly go through an understanding of school management as you people understand it. So can I start with you, Kauki Peter? Yes, Mr. Peter, can one have an understanding of how you would like to define school management? Are you there? Can you please unmute your mic? Muniba, can I come to you and ask you, please?
Good afternoon, ma.
Yeah, just tell me what is your understanding of school management? Whatever you understand. Yeah.
Is it simply means ways of handling things and putting them in order in the school.
Yes, that's a very nice, a very nice understanding. Actually, more than half of the job. Okay, so yeah, that's good. Suleiman, can you unmute your mic so that we can have a discussion on what is school management?
Okay, ma. Good afternoon. School management simply means managing the affairs of the school. Managing the
Okay,
affairs of the school.
all right. So now who else is going to, James, will you like to pitch in?
Yes.
Yeah,
When my understanding about school management is uh, in a local way, like the head of an institution, selected leaders of the school coming together to make decisions for the school, or coming together to achieve the aims and objectives of the school.
exactly. So I think where, I mean, when one looks at the understandings shared by 3 of you, I think if we put all these things together, we will come at an understanding of what is meant by school management, because in a way, this has been bit by bit explained by each one of you. Let us go on to now understand in a little more exhaustive way what is meant by management. One is, the first thing is that it is about setting direction, aims, and objectives. Because unless and until the direction and objectives and aims are articulated, we will not know what to manage. We will also not know what to plan. So the most important thing is that there is a direction and there are aims and objectives, which as you know, every school is likely to have. Every school is likely to have a direction in which it is supposed to follow, and it has aims and objectives which it will achieve either in the long term or in the short term. The second thing is that it is about planning how progress will be made or a goal will be achieved. So when we have set the direction, we also need to know how we will proceed in that direction, how we will make progress, how we will step by step reach the goal that has been framed in front of us. And herein comes what is known as the strategies. Strategies will help us to achieve the goals and aims and objectives that we have, the school has set in forth in front of it. Then the third thing is that after the direction has been set, after the strategies have been worked out, we also need to have a fair idea about the resources. These resources are mostly in terms of the people, the time that we have, and the materials. We also know that economically we have to be pretty much in control, because financial resources by and large for every school, especially for the government schools, also for the private, are very, very, one has to manage them very carefully. They are not in abundance. So people and time and materials. This materials will consist of the infrastructure. It will also consist of the financial resources we have, and so on. People in the school, within the school, and even outside the school, who we can bank on, who we can call, and to help us achieve the goals that we have set. And time, everything is kind of framed within a timeline. If we have to achieve our targets, normally we have 1 year as a plan. If it has to be from one session to the end of the session, one complete academic year, that can become the time frame. If it is to be done in a shorter time frame, let's say for in about 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or something like that, that also has to be framed. Similarly, there are certain things like the aims of the school can be achieved over a longer period of time. They will go beyond the 1 year that one is talking about here. What would be the aims? Like, for instance, if we are talking about that the school has to be inclusive in its approach. Inclusion is an aim of or equity also is an aim of the school. Obviously, this is something which is going to take more time than 1 year that we have just talked about. Controlling the process, what does it mean? It means that if we have set in motion a process with regard to identifying the goals and identifying the objectives, then we will also have to see that within a timeline whether things are moving as per what we have envisaged or not. If they are not moving as per the timeline, if they are not moving as per the goals, as per the direction, then we need to take a pause and take corrective action wherever it is possible. Then management is by and large about setting and improving the organizational standards, because the standards, unless the efficiency, the administrative setup, and the other things are not able to give their best over a period of time, not that within 6 months or something, but we expect that everything will improve within a time frame which will be a little broader. So the management is also focused on doing these things. Effectiveness, efficiency has to increase. Certainly, school management is not about carrying out tasks in prescribed ways. Why is it not about carrying out tasks in prescribed ways? Because there is a possibility that prescribed ways may work or may not work. There is nothing like a textbook or prescribed way of achieving a particular aim. You do course correction midway. If you feel that things are not working out, you actually do a correction, and then therefore the prescribed way also, if at all it has been decided in the beginning, might have to be changed. So that flexibility about achieving the aims and objectives always will come about whenever we take pause to control the process. We try to measure the achievement against the plans. We will change the prescribed ways because they, if they are not working, so we cannot go with the presumption that these things will be always done in accordance with prescribed way. For instance, for 1 year, one school has tried to take up the admission process in a particular manner. It has delegated to different teachers from different classes, from different subjects, but it has been found that the process got delayed because the delegation of this process or task did not work out. Then what is likely to happen? The next subsequent year, or in that year itself, course correction will be done, and the other process which it can which is presumed to be better than this one, that will be set in motion. So this is what school management in brief is all about. Now let me come back to you and ask you, is there any question that you people have based on what we have just now discussed? We have discussed the concept of school management, and you people also contributed to it. But do you think that after going through the discussion on this particular topic of school management, do you find that your understanding has broadened a little bit?
Yes.
It has become a little more comprehensive, I hope. What do you
It
have to
has.
say? And yeah, Muniba,
Yes.
yes. Okay. So James and Ibrahim, and also Mr. Kwadu is there. I don't know what's happening to Peter there, though there are two, this thing by his name, but he is not joining in the discussion, despite my calling out to him. So yes, James, what do you have to say? Anything you want to discuss on the points presented just now?
Yes, it has broadened my understanding, but the last point where the management doesn't follow uh, necessarily a process or a task, doesn't follow a task that a management has to be. There's a laid down task that it should follow. I have a little bit misunderstanding here, sir, madam. Please,
Yeah.
whilst you were talking, I was asking myself that let's take a situation where a school management, you see, the school management has board and others that are also supervising those schools. Okay, so if the school board wants the school to be run in a certain way, are you saying that school management is not about following those ways?
Yeah, see, basically, my point is this, that whatever we take up in the school, whether it is about the policies in the school, the governance in the school, or undertaking the tasks, the various tasks in the school, what we need to do is basically we need to examine from time to time what is it that is working out better, what is it which is adding to the efficiency of the running of the school, and what is it which is hampering the functions of the school. Let me just put it a little mildly. If we find that, let me give you an example, that if for school teachers, I have as a principal organized refresher programs or continuous professional development programs in a particular subject. and these have been done in a time which is, let us say, after 2 o'clock, when the school gets over, or on a Saturday, Sunday, in the afternoon. And I find that very few teachers are able to attend, or if teachers are also able to attend, they have not been able to they are not sufficiently motivated. Okay. The teacher who has come as a resource person is teaching in a particular manner through a lecture session, and on checking, one finds that their conceptual understandings also have not really been altered. Okay, so in that sense, one has to also find out through some kind of a survey, through some kind of a discussion, what is it? Is it the time? Is it the technique used by the resource person? Is it the fact that it is done on Saturday, Sunday, when they have no time because they also have schoolwork to take, and also, they have their own work at home? So, what exactly is it which is not going down well with the training? So, as a policy, as a measure, then I will inform to the management that this is not working. This might have worked in the previous year, but this year it is not working. So that prescribed thing of having it after 2 o'clock was quite all right with the previous year of teachers, because they were willing to put in extra time at the school. But this year, owing to different factors, they do not want to stay back, or they have more load, or whatever is the reason, which I will find out through a conversation or through an interaction. So what I'm basically trying to say, see what happens most of the time, why do things get prescribed, and they the ways of functioning are the same year after year? Because the head teachers and the senior teachers or the principals do not really carry out any kind of a discussion or any kind of a process to find out whether the things are working or the things are not working. So therefore, something which is happening from year to year, okay, continues to happen that way. There is no linkage between the process and whether the objectives have been fulfilled or not, because that kind of exercise is not done at all. It is very comfortable for the school principals to go on with the prescribed things which have been coming since last 10 years, last decades, or more than 10 years also. But if we want to change, if we want to alter things, we have to measure the goals and aims with the processes we have set into motion, whether those processes, whether those strategies are giving us results or they are not giving us results. More often than not, we will find that on examination we'll find that they are not giving us results, but we were too lazy to kind of change them and bring in something else in their place. Is that clear?
Yes, madam. I think I get it. Thank you now.
So is anybody else?
Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me,
Yeah.
ma'am. Are you showing PPT or it will start after some time?
No, I already showed.
Ma'am, it is not coming. You go to that page which you are showing, ma'am.
1 minute, let me just show. Is it clear? Is it showing?
Now it is coming, ma'am.
Yeah. So last one also I showed this one.
Yeah.
So did you people get to see this some time back?
Yes, we saw it throughout the presentation. It's when you said discussion and it went off.
All right. Okay. So what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that see, management will not work if we are not going to change our base. It's as simple as that. School management will change only when we are willing to change the process, we are willing to do a much more scientific job, or a much more considered, structured job of how we should be meeting our goals and objectives. Otherwise, things which are continuing from before will continue, will be continued to be followed, because nobody is interested in changing this, and nobody is probably interested in making the school a better place. Most of the time, whether you believe it or not, whether you want to agree or not, this is the reason why schools have developed such a lot of inertia. They are not able to move ahead because no change is ushered in because of the old practices which everybody wants to conform to. Let me go on to the first strategy that I have taken up for discussion from this block, which is known as the delegation of responsibilities. It is about delegating responsibilities, and I will come to the PowerPoint only after you give me your inputs as to what you understand by delegation. So there we go once again. One by one, very quickly, if you can just, give me a sentence of how exactly do you think that delegation is something which is tried out in schools. Is it tried out, delegation of responsibilities? Why is it important? How is it tried out? Give me an idea of what your understanding is. Even if it is like a very, very preliminary understanding, doesn't matter.
Okay, so madam,
Yes.
what I understand about delegation is that giving some people some duty so that they can help school management. For instance, in a school we have, apart from the headmasters, assistant headmasters, we have HODs, head of departments, and even under those head of departments, we delegate some work to people to be unit heads of, let's say, biology people, unit head of integrated science, unit head of physics, unit head of agriculture, like this. So my understanding of delegation is giving people some of the tasks so that it makes the managing of the school activity a little bit easy.
Yes, absolutely. Please come up yourself very fast. Let's have this round very fast of 1 or 2 sentences from each one of you before I go on to the PowerPoint. Because, see, effectively, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to integrate all your responses into that PowerPoint there. So, if I give it in advance, I think you will be deprived of a chance to share your thoughts on the particular topic. Please, next person. Mr. Ibrahim, will you like to give us a view of your understanding of delegation? Yeah. Anybody else? So there is one, I think, will you not speak it? Mr. Quado, you have said that delegation is assigning a duty to someone and
It's like
supervising
a
the person to achieve the goal. Yeah, yes, please, Mr.
hello,
Peter. Yes, go ahead.
hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
It's like assigning. It's like assigning tasks to subordinates or team members.
Yes, that's right. That's absolutely right. Where is Muniba? I want to hear from her. What is her understanding? Not there. Mr. Abraham?
Okay, ma.
Yeah.
I can simply say that delegation is simply sharing the responsibilities to the subordinate.
Yeah, that's right. Let us see now what all have we put on that PowerPoint there, because I have tried to, like I said, widen this understanding which has just emerged from you people. Let us see what more does delegation of responsibilities mean. Uh, It's a process by which school heads transfer part of their authority to subordinates for the performance of certain tasks and responsibilities. This is something which all of you did say. An effective head teacher is able to delegate responsibilities in such a way that they are carried out effectively and with personal satisfaction of every person to whom they were delegated. What does this mean? Can we just try to decode this particular thing, the second bullet, and see what exactly does it mean? That the duties are given in such a manner that everybody is personally satisfied with it. Whoever the duty has been given to, responsibility has been given to, feels personal satisfaction with that. What does that mean?
I think that what it means is that the school head delegating the powers to some of the schools shouldn't be like the favorite teacher or the favorite person, then he give it to. But if it becomes something like someone that the power was delegated to has been agreed by maybe members of the board or members of the school, teachers and everything, that's one everyone can work with. But if you select someone that people are not really okay with, no one would want to work with it. That is my understanding.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Anybody else who will like to expand a bit on this particular point? That it is to the satisfaction of the people to whom the responsibility has been delegated. What does that mean? Yes. Okay, so I think basically what it means is what James very rightly put it, that the principal or the school head has to identify before handing out the responsibilities. The head teacher should have an idea about the skills, capabilities, aptitude, attitude of the person to which the responsibility is being given. He or she should not play favorite, but at the same time, he or she should have some insight into the personality of a particular person to whom the responsibility is going to be delegated. Like, for instance, if I have been given the task of organizing co-curricular activities which consist of having some music and dance and so on and so forth, but I am not adept at that. This is something which is not an area of interest to me. Even if it is an area of interest to me, I may not have the skills to organize this kind of a music fest. If that has been delegated to me, obviously I will not be able to do a good job of it. So similarly, we can see many other examples. For instance, I mean, somebody has been assigned with the task of making the curriculum, in a particular subject, but the person is supposed to work in a team but doesn't have the skills of taking the team along with her. Okay, as compared to somebody else who will get all the biology teachers together, and for doing the syllabus of biology for a particular class, she may be able to organize the team and get them to work. Now the point is, another point which one has to remember is that the duties can be delegated to one person by the authority, and from that person further to somebody. Like, I'll give you an example that I, as a class teacher, might have many tasks before me. So if I am given the task of preparing some children to participate in the UN debates, I might delegate this to another student who is quite good at it and who has been getting laurels in the UN mock UN debates, which are held. So the understanding, therefore, is that delegation can go to more than one levels. It does not kind of stop only at one level. But important thing to remember, that tasks have to be delegated as per the abilities, the attitudes, aptitudes, and interests of the person to whom the tasks are being assigned. Okay. Like I said, 1 minute, sorry. The last here is that at all levels of management, it can take place. The colleagues can do the job themselves, or they can further delegate it to other staff. Now let's find out that why is it so important that delegation has to be a part and parcel of the management style, which is being followed by the head teacher or the school principal or the school leader. It is important because, as you all know, that the school principal is actually has many works to perform. There is, like, let's try to recall, or let's try to enlist the tasks that he or she might have to play. It could be, managing the personnel and the infrastructure and the management of all these things, the labs and all. Overall supervision lies with the principal only. Then instructional oversight, which means that how the teaching learning process is going on in the school is again a responsibility of the school head and the principal. Apart from that meetings, variety of meetings, not only with the teachers, but sometimes with the parents, with the students, the non-teaching staff in the school, and so on and so forth. Budgeting, he may or she may again delegate the budgeting to somebody else, but there has to be an overall supervision over there. Disciplining students, this is another major task which the school leader is directly connected with. Again, then connecting with the parents, with the community, reporting to the school board, the school management, and this district authorities, and probably addressing, the most important is addressing individual student needs. Needs can be varied. If there are students who need special remedial classes, those have to be organized. If there are special children, their needs have to be met with. So there's a variety of tasks which the school principal has been saddled with. Obviously, the time is a limited resource, therefore delegation becomes handy here. There is also this thing of, if everything is kept within the principal, all the tasks he or she decides to perform, and everybody else is not a part and parcel of that decision making, there will be no feeling of trust and confidence. It's always good when many people can come together and cooperate with each other, build a team spirit, and take decisions together. There is what is known as, the building, there is a stake building. They feel that they have a stake in the major decisions which the school is taking. Otherwise, they will feel that they are totally isolated, and they will also not try to align with the decisions, because their opinions are not factored into those decisions. It is also a way in which the junior faculty which comes into the school is mentored and monitored. They also learn with this hand holding how things have to go on in the school, what things have to be kept in mind before taking decisions. And I think another important thing is that decentralization of functioning is something which is a requirement. We are moving towards devolution of powers. Powers being concentrated in one person who may have the skills, who may have the knowledge, who may have the attitude, aptitude, or may not have the requisite knowledge and skills, and so on. If that one person is given all the tasks of making decisions, then there will be a problem in the functioning of the school. So therefore, it is important that the powers are devolved, powers are decentralized. People come to a school with different capabilities, different skills, and all these can be factored into decision making. For other reasons also, we can say that delegation is also important, because the school principal can focus on the big things, she need not get into micromanagement of things and make decisions. That's not something which the principal is supposed to do. It is also cost effective way of doing it, because the teachers are already there. They have been trained, they are well versed with the functioning and the requirements and the needs of the school. So instead of hiring people from outside, management experts and so on, within the school the resources can be utilized. There is also a thing in what is known as the continuity of a process. What is the continuity of the process? Continuity of the process is this, that if some people have been assigned the task of curriculum development, they continue to do that, and in the process they bring in the junior people, assign them the task, and by the time those senior people are out, the young ones, the junior faculty, has taken up the tasks and has become well trained in the discharge of these duties and tasks. So in a way, what happens is that on the job mentoring takes place. Within the school, they come to know how things have to be done, how meetings have to be set up, how negotiations have to take place, how can interpersonal communication be built, and so on and so forth. So this is passed on from the senior faculty to the junior faculty. This is another advantage of delegation of responsibility. Then I think basically there is also a removal of bottlenecks. Some decisions may not take off well because they have not been thought through, because one or two persons have been associated, and one or two persons may or may not be able to get the big picture in their mind about as to how to go about overcoming obstacle. Let me give you an example. If a school is persisting with the problem of student absenteeism, how to deal with that? If one or two people, the class teacher, in which the teachers, two or three teachers, independently think of different solutions, and then come together and discuss how each one is dealing with that, probably there is a chance that they will keep many more things in their mind. The framework will be big, because it is always this way, that two or three people, four people can think in different ways and arrive at a solution more creatively. So that is also one of the advantages in a school context. Therefore, I think in the coming years, and also from now onwards, the management style which will have to be followed uh, is the delegation of responsibilities, managing the school through delegating the responsibility. I'll take a brief pause. Let me ask you if there is any question before I move on very quickly to the next slide of mine. Anything which you want to discuss, any opinion, any view based on the presentation so far in this particular slide? Anything which you have not understood? Is there anything that yeah?
No, madam.
No? Okay. All right. So, see, basically, what I'm doing is, I'm just, like I said before, putting your opinions, but there are additional aspects to that. Whatever your understanding is, it's a good understanding. It's based on your observations. But at the same time, I think there's a little bit of widening of that, the framework that we have, because if we look at other things which we have not thought of so far, we can try them out and see whether these are bearing results or not. For instance, I mean, going back to school after doing this course, probably you can suggest that delegation of responsibilities is a much better idea, and it should come down to as many faculty members as possible and not be selectively done with a few teachers. Why? Because you know the advantages, you can discuss the advantages in a faculty meeting with your principals and so on and so forth, so basically just remember, this program is about broadening our understanding and at the same time taking the knowledge, competencies and skills from here and putting them into practice in the school context, the schools that you are teaching or the schools where you will be teaching in future. Let's quickly look at the other one. So how should we delegate? What are the principles? How can delegation become positive? How can the outcomes of principle of delegation be positive? They can be more effective and positive if we follow the principles of delegation. Let us now see what are the principles of delegation. As a whole, the school should be given priority and not just a part of it. You delegate in areas, let us say, in organizing a school carnival. Delegation is only limited to that. No, that will not work. Delegation will also have to be done in curriculum formation committee, in conducting the exam committee, in supervision of other things. So all the functional areas of school should be given priority. Delegation cannot be selected and confined only to one aspect of the school. The nature and scope of the work should be very well defined. See, the problem is that there is always this miscommunication. The principal is likely to say, oh, you didn't achieve this work. This is not what I wanted. This is not the outcome which I was expecting from you. Then how to solve this problem? The problem can only be solved if whatever the work has been delegated to the individual, it is well defined, the scope is well defined, the timeline is defined, the nature is defined, what is expected out of that particular teacher after the completion of that particular task which has been assigned to her. Like I said earlier, the selection will have to be based on the knowledge, competence, and commitment capabilities of the teachers. And mind you, there are many principals who feel that the capabilities, knowledge, and commitment only lies within 4 to 5 teachers in the school, the senior teachers in the school. But that is a myth. I think each teacher carries competence, commitment, and capabilities, and also knowledge. But that identification of those areas of knowledge, understanding, and commitment will have to be done by the principal herself. Or the principal cannot turn a blind eye, because the teachers might be displaying their knowledge in various areas. We say, don't we, that so and so teacher has remarkable organizational skills. She organized this big carnival for the school in such a manner with the help of 10 to 15 teachers, which she had taken with her. Similarly, somebody else might have demonstrated her skills in another area, in interpersonal communication with the students. Or there is a possibility that there are so many areas where the teachers kind of, show that they are good. One may be good in one, another will be good in another area. So we cannot close our eyes to that, because we have to rope in all the teachers for the entire functioning, various aspects of functioning of the school, and give them delegated responsibility. Regular reporting is essential. See, if I have been given a task of 15 days, in between, I have not been asked anything, and I might be pursuing it with commitment in a particular direction, but that may not be the correct direction. So how can that be then, how can I be pursued to move in the wanted direction, in the direction that is wanted from me, is desired from me? That can only happen when there is an intermittent kind of a checking, not checking in that sense, but a feedback, a reporting that this is how it is being done. That window for reporting has to be kept open between two teachers, a junior teacher or a senior teacher, a senior teacher and the principal, or whatever, whoever has been delegated that work, and whoever delegates that work, they have to be in constant touch with each other. Motivation, rewards, appreciation are of course the basis on which this delegated responsibilities are going to work more effectively. What does that mean? It means that if the task also hasn't been done very well, I need not be humiliated or reprimanded for that. There are ways of communicating that, and if the tasks have been accomplished well, then due recognition, due importance, and due encouragement has to be given to the teachers who have been delivering the responsibility as per the expected outcomes. So that is where the role of the principal becomes very important. We have just discussed that delegation of responsibilities will take place depending on the n number of conditions which I had just listed in front of you. We can move to the other strategy, but before closing up delegation, quickly, if there are any questions, I will be happy, to take them up. Any questions, any queries, any confusion?
No, please.
Is everything understood? Does it make sense? Have you people kind of, been able to link your school's functioning with what is being said? Your own experiences, can you see them getting aligned with the presentation here or not?
Yes, ma, we can.
All right. Okay. So we move to the next strategy in this second block, which will be on communication. Uh, let's start with our own understanding first of what is communication. What do we understand by communication? We talk about communication, it is something like which is, we do it every day. I'm communicating with you and vice versa. I communicated with my colleagues in the morning, I communicated with others, and so on and so forth. All the time, most of the time, we are communicating, with somebody or the other. So how do we kind of, how do we understand it more in the context of a school, or how should we understand why is this communication important in the school context? Something which is so commonplace, why is it important? Can you tell me, please? Do we even need to talk about communication? It is something which is happening all the time, but we have to. And why do you think that we should and we have to? Yes, fast. Let's go on a quick round. Share whatever you have in your mind. No point in carrying that back with you. Let's have it out here. Why do you think is communication important? And what is communication?
Okay.
Yeah.
It can simply means ways of passing information
Yes.
from management to the student.
Okay. All right.
Ways of passing information from one particular direction to the other, from management to the student, and so forth
Yes.
and so on.
Yep. Yes. Okay. Who else? Next, who's going to volunteer? Please speak up. Who's the next one?
Yeah, communication is the passage of information from a sender through a medium to a receiver, who then for brings back feedback to the sender of the message. Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Okay. Who else? Who else? Okay. So let's now actually see that in the, yeah, James. Let's hear from you. What do you understand by communication?
Well, communication is the act of exchange of information from one point to another. It could be hierarchical or in any other form.
Correct. Okay. So let me now just go to the slides here, and while we go through the slides, we, I think at the same time, should be building a picture of a school and communication taking place and the obstacles which happen, because certain preconditions are not met. Okay. So communication is a very important tool as far as the school management is concerned. Let's go to communication. Like you people said, let's try to understand the communication process. It consists of the source. There is the source, there is message, there is encoding, there is channel, there is a receiver, it's decoding, there feedback and noise. Who is a source or a sender? Source or sender is somebody who has a message which he or she intends to communicate. I am the source here because I have the message which about school management which I want to communicate to you people. What is the message? It is composed of symbols, designs. See, in my case, if you look, I have made use of the code of the language, English language, the codes of the language. Then symbols can be there. The PowerPoint, for instance, is there. So the message is being transmitted to you people, that is the receivers, with the help of symbols, which and codes and letters which help to communicate or to send the message across. What is encoding? Encoding process is how the message is encoded. Like I said, it is with the symbols or the gestures or the letters or through pictures and so on and so forth. The encoding, I have coded the message about the school management, which I want to send to you people. What is the channel here? Channel is the online channel, but channel can be face to face, channel can be email, it can be a WhatsApp, it can be, there can be different channels. Those are the pathways along which the message gets transmitted. The receiver is you. In case of you all, there's not a single person, but it's a group of people who are getting the messages from a source, that is me, through the online channel. Okay. Now, what is decoding? Decoding is something which takes place on part of you. You people, on the basis of your previous understandings, on the basis of your own experiences, on the basis of your own personal kind of experiences, you people will decode whatever I am saying. Not only the words, but a little bit of other things also will get added to what I am saying. Like for instance, here we are talking about the school, right? So when we talked about the delegation, the messages got decoded in the context of how delegation takes place in a school. James talked about how there are a set of favorites and so on and so forth. Those also can be given a delegated responsibility. He also asked questions similarly. Moniba asked, and Peter and Ibrahim, all of you asked questions you were decoding. And in that decoding, you were bringing up your own knowledge, your own personal experiences of the delegation, which you have experienced either directly or indirectly in school situation. So that is the decoding. Encoding lies with the source, which is me. Decoding lies with the receiver, that is you people. Okay. Feedback is the output of the message from the receiver to the source or the sender, and noise is anything that disrupts. Through feedback, there is an exchange on whatever has been the message, whether it has been decoded correctly, what has been decoded, and so on. So that is what is known as the feedback. And then a noise is anything that disrupts. I need not talk about it. Should I just quickly get your feedback on this? Is it clear? What we had said about communication, we did talk about a two-way information process between the sender and the receiver through a channel, but we also see that there are different parts to it also. So communication, in fact, is a process which encompasses a few things, So those things we have talked about. We have talked about the source or the sender. We've talked about the message. We've talked about the encoding. Then we have talked about the channel. Then we talked about the receiver, the decoding, and so on and so forth. So understood? I think this is fairly simple, and there's nothing which probably would merit a discussion. Or you think there you want to ask a question, or should I go on? I move?
Madam, please go on.
Yes, you can go on.
All right. Now let's go to all of us feel that, we are good communicators, but we probably do not deliberate on whether our communication is effective or not. What is effective communication? Effective communication is that how, to what degree, to what length has the message been communicated to the receiver in the way that it was intended to be communicated by the sender or the source of the message. There are a few essentials of effective communication, and it's quite possible that we might or may not take them into consideration. And if we do not take them into consideration, possibilities of communication not being so effective also exist. First of all, know your objectives. What is it that I want to do? What is the objective that I want to achieve? Obviously, there will be a difference in objectives when I'm taking a class, when I'm showing my displeasure, or when I'm trying to praise a particular person. If there is something, which is very clear to me in terms of the objectives of my communication, I will therefore definitely, the message will be aligned with the objectives of the communication. And each of the cases, the message will be different. It cannot be the same. The tone of praise will be very different from the tone of getting angry, being jealous. The tone of being jealous does not come into the picture when I'm taking a class. Okay, so these are different objectives meant for different purposes. So therefore, the messages will have to be different. Know the receiver of the message. Now, in case of the head teacher, he or she needs to know the characteristics and the needs of the person to whom the message is sent. If, as a head teacher, I am sending a message to a teacher who is not very well familiar with the language that I am speaking, obviously, there will be a problem here. If I am talking to a teacher who is teaching a maths class, but I have in mind something which happened in a science class between the teacher and the students, naturally, then I do not know the needs, the characteristics or the needs of that person to whom I want to reach out. if there is a person who speaks very less, the characteristic is that if I call upon that person, he or she is not able to give me an instant feedback. But if I expect that there will be an instant feedback and there will be a bit discussion, then I will be disappointed. So the characteristics of the person, whether the person understands more in a language which is soft, person understands more when given more data and pictures, person understands more if spoken in short sentences, and so on. These are some of the things that we need to keep into our minds when we send the message, because the profile of the receiver is quite important. The message should be clear, specific, and it should be understandable, given, articulated in understandable terms. It should be brief, shouldn't be too lengthy, should not under communicate. Sometimes what happens is that in our bid to become brief, we under communicate. We are not able to put forth or answer questions which might be like, why it should be done, who did it, what, when to do it, where it should be done, and so on. So the various aspects of a particular issue that we are trying to communicate, we should take into account the different aspects of that, so that the receiver is able to make sense of that. Our attitude, behavior, non-verbal gestures, and facial expressions should be very clear. If we are reprimanding something, the non-verbal will be very different. If we are praising, it has to be different. Our gesture for communicating something very serious will be different. So all these are very important things. What is it that aspires positive feelings, positive attitudes amongst the staff and the learners? We have to be clear that our positivity will go down well with them. Another very important thing in communication is, while it is said that it's a two-way process, most of the time when we are speaking, we think that, if we can monopolize that process, it can become a one-way process. But a good communication, for that we have to be a good listener as well. That is very important. Even if the inputs come to us not very quickly, slowly, but we have to give time for listening from the receiver also. We also have to always imagine this, that things will not change, attitudes and behavior will not change. It may take years, but changing attitudes slowly can happen, and that can happen with the way we communicate, the way we transmit the message, the way we are trying to tell what exactly is it that we are looking for. I will now very quickly go on to another slide with this, which talks about the barriers to effective communication. So far, we have talked about it being a two-way process. We have kind of, we have distinguished or segregated the components of the communication process. We have also tried to enlist what are the essentials of effective communication. And now let us see that what are the barriers. Before that, let me just say that again, at the risk of kind of repeating myself, there are 7 C's that we need to remember. Always remember the 7 C's in the communication process. What are the 7 C's here? The first C is that the message should be very clear and understandable. The second is that the message should be correct. It should be written in correct language, and the sender must ensure that there are no grammatical mistakes or errors, because that can cause confusion.
Please, the slide is not showing.
Pardon? Yeah, Abhi, right now there is no slide. I'll come to that. I'm just
The
talking
slide
about
is not showing.
Yeah, I will,
Okay, okay.
I will come to it. I'm just talking about the 7 C's of effective communication. I had started with the message should be clear, the message should be correct, the message should be complete, it should be concrete, there should be no scope for misinterpretation or ambiguity there. It should be concise, it should be the consideration of the receiver about her opinions, language, mindset, and background should be kept into account while sending the message. It should be courteous. We have to be focused and positive as far as the receiver is concerned. So those are the 7 C's. After this, let us have a look at the barriers to communication. Okay, is this visible?
Yes, ma. It's
All
visible.
right. Okay, barriers. What are the barriers to effective communication? Lack of mutual trust and understanding. In fact, if there is no trust between people, if there is a lack of understanding, everything which is communicated will be misinterpreted. It will be taken in a very different manner. Even if simple things are being said, they will be actually processed with that mistrust and lack of understanding. This probably, you people must have also experienced in your daily lives. Between two individuals, communication always gets distorted where there is a lack of mutual trust and a lack of understanding. Okay. The other thing which is there is that fear of not being able to complete the task or doing it wrong by the subordinate. This feeling can be there by the head teacher. She can think that the subordinate, the person who have assigned the task to, will not complete it, and it will be done wrongly, because she might have done it wrongly before. So the that same thing continues. So this becomes, or somebody might even inform the principal that this so and so cannot complete the task. Therefore, open communication, effective communication, loses out when there is an inability ascribed to a particular person. Fear of losing power and authority by the head teacher. Many people are not able to communicate or do not want to be transparent. What is effective communication? Effective communication is transparency, not being opaque, but by being open. They are opaque in their interactions because they feel that if we tell them clearly, if we talk to them clearly that this is what we want, the inspector is coming, this is what the inspector is expecting in the school. All of you should be in the class by 8 o'clock, and the notebooks will be inspected. But some people will hold this information back, and they will say, oh, didn't you know they always come at 8 o'clock? Because what happens is that they exercise their authority over the teachers in this manner. By partly holding information to yourself, what you are doing is getting more power and authority within you. This is why, again, communication, this is not effective communication. Failure to plan ahead by the head teacher. This also, last minute, many things happen in the school, which have not been planned ahead. Or what happens is sometimes that wrong dates are told. We want this task completed. The management wants this task completed by the 10th of 12th of February. This is being told only 3 days back. And why? Because the head teacher did not think of doing it before, though she knew that this is something which the management wants by that particular date. So failure to transmit to the subordinates the larger plan. This is an example which I already gave. Responsibilities and tasks of each group clearly, if they are not told, again, there is a problem on the part of the receiver, on the part of those people who have been delegated those tasks. if there is no effective system in place for reporting back to the head teacher in between through effective communication, then also that becomes a barrier for effective communication. I'll just take a pause, invite your questions, or ask for any queries that are there as far as the communication thing is concerned. Any questions? Okay, let's very quickly now, let me just ask all of you to pitch in a little bit. Apart from the barriers to effective communication, which I have discussed, can you just come up with one factor which could be an obstruction for effective communication? Let me give you my input into this. I feel that expressions which have different meanings can become a cause for bad communication. Like for instance, if we there are two words meaning the same, but which word has been communicated, the receiver may not be able to understand that which word is being communicated to her. So if the right choice of the expression with full meaning is not communicated, that can become a bad communication. Yes, James, you want to say something?
Well, I think I was also going to say almost the same thing. I was going to talk about language barrier. So if the language that I'm speaking in, if you are not able to understand me very well, and sometimes language barrier might not be maybe I'm speaking English to someone who speaks let's say Spanish. No, but maybe the two of us can speak the same English. You understand English, but when I'm speaking, I speak very fast, and it's the
Yes.
same English. You cannot hear me, and that can be language barrier.
Yes. See, that's a very interesting thing you've said, that what happens many a times, bad translation. Okay. If you do not understand Spanish, or if you are speaking in your own language to somebody who is a Spanish speaking person, but you rely on, let's say, a translation. You want to translate your message into Spanish to be able to communicate. We have to see how effective or good that translation is also, in case the languages are different of the sender and the receiver. So here comes in the role of translation. So badly translated expressions, words can distort the meaning, so that also can become a barrier to effective communication. I've just taken your example a bit further here, and taken it up for translation, because many a times we do resort to translations also. So anybody else? I'll just give you an example. I just said that a word having two meanings, like the girl just craned her neck, or there is a crane lying in the field. So both have different meanings here. Which one, or what is it that we are trying to say? This is just a thing which comes immediately to my mind, but you can also imagine that there would be words with similar meanings, so that has to be communicated appropriately. Then another thing, which, yes, one more, can, like what James said, can you also come up, Peter and Ibrahim and Rimindako, with more factors which can become responsible for bad communication? Peter, can we have you have your opinion here? See, Suleiman, will you like to share with us anything on this topic?
Okay, ma. I think changing the way and manner in which the information is usually being passed can be the communication barrier. For example, like in our WhatsApp platform, some information is being passed by written. So when that uh, I think way that way of passing that information is changed to voice, I think that can be an
Yes.
barrier to effective communication.
Yes. I think that's another very interesting example which you have just mentioned. See, what we also have to remember is that while sending the information, when the sender or the source is transmitting the message, the medium or the channel is also very important. For somebody who's not very familiar with the, let's say, WhatsApp messages, for somebody who may not have an internet connection, for somebody who's not very technologically suave as to use online medium, for someone who probably doesn't have a computer to get that information and has only a phone which might not be that easy to use, I think the communication will again suffer, because the effectivity of the communication, like I said before, depends on the profile, on the characteristics, and on the background and needs of the learners. I think unless we remember that, we will always land up with something which will not be effectively communicated. Same way, I feel that there are sometimes examples of people using very technical language in their message. Again, that is likely to become for a layman, that can become difficult, whereas for a software engineer or for a computer teacher in the school, that can be used without any problem. So again, it brings us back to the fact that communication is a two-way process between two people, the sender and the receiver. And I think both have to feel comfortable and at ease while actually getting into this process of communication. Only then this process can become useful. Again, let me just I have already said, then lack of listening skills, similarly lack of adequate vocabulary to and language to present whatever, to present the message. These are again some of the personal issues which can become a lack of knowledge. If they have both the sender and the receiver have less knowledge about a subject, you have to see the level of the receiver also, whether the receiver is well versed or up to a level or not. If your level is higher, you need to bring it down. Similarly, it's quite possible that the receiver's level is higher than yours, and therefore you need to then make up and do your readings and all that, and then get into a communication which probably can be effective. Okay, so this communication thing, I will just close over here. We have been talking at the same time about negotiation also here. Uh, some of the skills which are important for negotiation. Negotiation, as you all know, it's something which loosely we can put as bargaining. Again, it takes place between two people. It can be two people, it can be two groups, and so on and so forth. It can be one person and a group, and the varieties can be different, but again there are two sets of people or set of people responsible. Negotiation is bargaining, and it is actually about hoping to get away with certain things that you aspire to get. It is about uh, it's about engaging in a discussion civilly with another set of people and working towards a negotiable solution. A negotiation comes place only because there is an impasse, because there are two people fighting for the same thing, whether it is about a particular room, a staff room, a table, a computer. In that case, it is between two teachers, or it can be a group of teachers and the principal. It can be a group of teachers, principal, and the management, or it can be between the teachers and the district or the board, and so on and so forth. So there is some kind of a impasse which has happened over there, and which needs to be actually some agreeable solution has to come about in an agreeable manner. What are the important skills that we need for negotiation? Can anybody tell me that? You know that negotiations take place all the time, so how do negotiations, what are negotiations which are successful, which are negotiations which are not successful? Because we have talked about communication in a way. Communication is linked. Yeah. Yes, please. Ibrahim, you want to say something?
Okay, ma. I think the ability to listen to both parties, the ability
Yes.
to listen to
Yes.
the both parties or groups.
Yes. 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 Anybody else? Anybody else? Come on, negotiation is what we do every day, almost every day. We negotiate so many things, right? Yes. Yes, please go ahead. Yes, yes, yes. Can't hear you. Can you please speak?
Okay,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
I will add something.
yes,
Ability to understand the situation and talk amicably.
yes. Correct, correct. Right. And James?
Well, negotiation is about understanding each other or agreeing on something.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, as always, whatever you people have said is quite correct. But just to go about it in a much more, in a little bit of a structured manner, I think basically it is about, effectively communicating what exactly you want. Whether you are an A party or B party, unless and until you are able to effectively communicate what is it that you desire, what is it that you want, the message will not be understood by the other party. Okay, so if it is an extra classroom that I want, or if it is some space in the lab that I want as a teacher, which is being denied to me because there are already many people and labs are small, I need to negotiate. And negotiation will be effective only if I put it very concisely that this is the issue with me, this is the problem, and I want this. Okay. The second thing is that, like, you people said that it's about understanding the other. Yes, it is about having what is known as emotional intelligence. Unless and until you put forth your positive attitude to the other party, it is quite possible that it might get into a conflict. It is possible that negotiation which was to take place in the absence of positive attitude, being open, willing to listen, and so on and so forth, that might become a bit non-achievable. The third thing is that you have to plan. You have to plan ahead, that what is it that I want, where are my boundaries. What does it mean, where are my boundaries? Maybe I'll be able to get only this much, maybe I will not be able to get more than that, or maybe I'll get more but not more beyond that. So I should have a good idea through planning, that what are the various scenarios which are likely to happen and appear before me. So planning beforehand, going through the whole thing, is very important. Then now the last thing is that a value has to be created through this, that something which is which you have achieved, that it should be like this, that the pie is small, but each group has been able to get a slice of that pie. That's the value which is created. Obviously, if one is disgruntled and the others happy, there is no negotiation. The negotiation is successful only when both the parties are able to get value out of the negotiations. They are able to get a slice of the pies which are there. All right, so these are a few things which are linked with negotiation, and as you have all said very nicely, we need to plan ahead, we need to have emotional intelligence, we need to have positive attitudes towards this, and we have to think about that problem and then move ahead and also know about our boundaries. So this completes, after the delegation of responsibilities, we have in a nutshell browsed through the other chapter of the second block, which is on communication and negotiation. Obviously there is much more in the chapter, but what I have been able to do is just pick up some of the main points and bring them here for so that you can get an idea about what is there, and through getting an idea, your entry into that unit, into that particular block, I feel should be easier, because you know what lies there. The field is like this, okay, and I should be able to get into it, read it, take my exams, do the assignments, and also carry the knowledge and the skills forward. Finally, now we come to the third this thing which I had taken up, which is about managing the meetings. Let's look at the slides. In a nutshell, this checklist for a meeting is something which all of us have gone through, because all of us as professionals and as teachers, wherever we are, we have been attending meetings, and there is a familiarity with the process. There is a recognition that these are the various things that we need to do before getting into a meeting. These things should be ready. Therefore, this is a checklist. This is probably a checklist for the head teacher, head of the department, and the school principal. While I find that this is all very commonplace, even you will see that this is, oh, what is in this everybody does, and and we are all familiar with all this, we still find that there are issues with the outcomes of the meetings. Sometimes whatever is decided in the meetings is not achieved. Sometimes whatever is the agenda is not fulfilled. Sometimes what happens is that the agenda is different and the discussions take place along very different lines. After the meetings are over, they are not subjected to any kind of a review or implementation process. So even if we have been attending many meetings, it's quite possible that these meetings have not been able to yield the desired results. So we'll go step by step in that direction to see what are the problems and so on. Let us first begin with the checklist here, which has been on your screens for some time now, and I'm sure you have browsed through it. Of course, the first step is planning. Why at all? Why should we have a meeting? What is the agenda? Is there something which is pressing? Is there something which is pending? Is something which is emergency? Why? Or is it a part of the regular weekly meetings or monthly meetings which I might be having with my faculty? So, purpose of the meeting, main agenda items, participants. Who are the participants? Are the participants from my department? Are the participants from other departments also? Who are the people who will be attending? Will all depend on the agenda and the purpose of the meeting. Okay. The second thing is that while giving a date and time and place, the notice has to be circulated of the agenda items well in advance. Why? Because the participants have to prepare for that meeting. They will have to read up on the agenda items and they will come to the meeting after due preparation. So, advance notice has to be given and advance circulation has to be done. Well, how much would be advance? I think probably 2 weeks is a good enough time. Less than 2 weeks probably would be short. Of course, more than 2 weeks would be even better. So, what is the preparation for the meeting we have to do? We have to actually book a conference room or a meeting room or the staff room and ensure that there are no other activities in that particular place. And if we want that there has to be some kind of, if we want to show some data, we might want an overhead projector. If we want some pictures or if we want some matter there to be discussed, we will have the visual aids and accordingly, whatever is the requirement. We'll have to decide the seating. Where will the principal sit? Where will the head of the department sit? Who are the others who will be sitting next to them? Or we may not have any seating in particular except making the person chair the meeting, whoever is chairing that meet. Pads and pencils for taking down notes and so on and so forth. Content of the meeting, like I said, clear objectives. These have to be informed. These can be actually generated by involving others. Now, this is interesting because the meeting agenda can be something which one person is doing. She is informing, but you involved a group of teachers to come out with a agenda for the meeting, so that will be involving others. Then generating ideas can be done like that. You can ask, have some kind of a brainstorming before that and so on and so forth. Once the meeting is over, you need a follow-up on the basis of the minutes, which will actually very clearly state who will do what. If students groups have to be formed, then which teacher has been delegated that responsibility, that name will be written, when will she do it, where will it be done, that all, everything will be written in the minutes. What is important is the agenda. What happens when the meeting gets over is the minutes. Okay. Then the review processes are important, because otherwise the meetings do not carry much weight. Otherwise they hang in the air. Otherwise there are no ways of actually knowing whether the implementation is taking place or not. Effective meetings are when there is a clear definition of purpose, there is a careful time control, they start on time and end on time, and enough time is allowed for discussion, for the work to be done, and so on and so forth. opinions are respective, members listen to each other, because that's why we have called a meeting. A meeting means that more than one person to give their opinions and share their thoughts. There is an informal opinion. It's not, though the time is monitored, that you speak on 2 minutes or 3 minutes are given to each participant, yet it is being done in an informal atmosphere, so that the participants do not hesitate to contribute. The chairperson, the members are well prepared, the materials, the support data, and everything is there, which gives the meeting some meaning and purpose to move in the direction of the desired objectives. The members are qualified and interested and wanting to be a part of the meeting. Okay, so what else do we want? If we want the communication, the meeting to be effective, no distractions, good minutes and records, the performance of the assessment of what has been done in the meeting is periodically done. The review is done, assessment is done, some kind of a monitoring of the implementation is done. Recognition of the effort, that members are rewarded for their efforts. The response of the management it has to be ensured that the meeting is accepted and the inputs from the meetings are used in the school for making contribution. Otherwise this becomes like null and void. If the management is not with you, if they feel that this has no meaning and purpose, not only will it demotivate the teachers and the other members, but it is clearly then a case of misuse of resources or wastage of resources. Okay, now I think with this, let me just now come to all of you, because I have in a way stopped the presentation, and since we have about 10 to 15 minutes to go, let's have some kind of a discussion on the three topics that we have discussed here. The delegation of responsibilities, we have discussed, we have talked about communication and negotiation, and finally we have talked about managing the meetings. Now I want each one of you to tell me that this last topic that we talked about, the management of, how do meetings, when they take place in your schools, what are the problems that are associated? Are they effective? Is there some gap which is there? If there are gaps, what exactly are the gaps and how can those be remedied? Okay, so quickly, I want to have an opinion from each one of you, 1 minute each, and then we move to the next thing. Okay.
Okay, madam.
Yeah. So start. Who's going to be the first one to start? Who is volunteering? Suleiman, I'll start with you. You are the first on the row, over there. And then I come to James, and then I come to Peter, and then finally to Rebecca.
Okay, thank you. I think the problem we are facing in my school, sometimes when we are about to have a meeting, sometimes they pass that information within very short time. Some of the staff have not even seen that the meeting is going to be held. So that's our problem in my school.
James.
Yes, madam.
Yeah.
So please, in my school, when it comes to meeting, well, I'll say sometimes it is effective, sometimes it's not effective. See, sometimes based on what the checklist that you propose, Sometimes you go for a meeting, you don't know the agenda. We are here because you have been assembled to come for a meeting. And because there's no agenda, they say, oh, it's a 30-minute meeting. You realize 2 hours gone, you are still there. And sometimes too, you have the agenda, and then when there's an agenda, you see that we stick around time. So if it is 1 hour, after 1 hour, by 1 hour we are done. If it will go beyond an hour, maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes, then we are done. So that is what is happening here too.
All right, thank you. So do you feel that, the discussion around meetings, especially with a checklist, if things are done in that manner, they can be more productive, effective, and probably hold the teachers' interests also?
Exactly. It will be very, very effective. And in fact, some teachers wouldn't even run away when it comes to meeting. You see people coming there because we'll stick to time, we'll stick to agenda, discussions will be effective. Everyone will be very happy to come to the meeting when we have a checklist like what you presented.
Yeah, thank you. So, Peter, Mr. Peter, can we have your opinion here? There are somehow two entries in the same name, but not even one is responding. Why is it so? Mr. Peter in two places, but not even one of them is responding. How come? What is the problem here? The connectivity or what? Okay, Muniba, can we have your opinion? And then I come to Mr. Rimindaku.
I miss almost all of the lectures because I'm having problems since with my network.
Okay, so Mr. Rimindaku.
Okay, thank you, Ma. After I share my opinion, there is something I want to ask. In a school, let me start with my question. Is there any specific time that is supposed to be having a meeting, like after 2 weeks or weekly, or for having an effective running of the school? So I want to know this, like having a meeting weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. That is it. And when it comes to having meeting in school, sometimes, like my colleagues say, we have an effective meeting, and sometimes you see the meeting is not effective. What I can say is due to lack of clear definition of objectives. Sometimes when the meeting start, we they you see we drift from the main agenda and start having other conversation which took a lot of our time. So that is what I wanted to add. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for your input, and let me answer your questions. See, if you recall, there was a line which we were doing, that there are no prescribed things as far as the schools are concerned. There is no prescribed strategy as such. There is nothing like a prescription. But if you want something to be done effectively, yeah, you have to change what is being done. Now in your play, I mean, in the question you've asked that is there anything which like a 2 weekly bi-weekly meeting or a monthly or something? There are schools where there may be a meeting once in 6 months, and there are schools where at least the discipline groups will like to meet, let's say, every 2 weeks. There could be schools where the whole teachers of the entire school, probably the principal wants to see them once in 2 months, huh? And it's quite possible that head of the department of a particular discipline might want to see her teachers once every week, so basically, depending on what is it that you are trying to do, depending on what exactly is your agenda. If your agenda is, let's say that in a social science group, if the teachers feel that there is something that they are finding difficult to teach, They are not able to teach like the, let's say, the civilization, any XYZ civilization, they do not feel competent to teach. The head might want to discuss some things which she has discussed with others, or she has in her toolkit, or she has downloaded, or she feels that the other teachers can help, and may conduct for, let's say, a month, once every 2 months, so that the teachers become confident. If the maths teacher, head of the department at the senior secondary level, feels that the achievement is low of the class, she might get into doing the hard spots and finding out that why are the teachers are able to teach them well. If she finds they are not able to, she might be doing some extra things with them. So I'll say that on the whole, it all depends on what exactly is your objective. In my university, we have a meeting scheduled almost once every month, but then there are certain agenda things which are unanticipated. The once in a month is about routine, the progress of the courses, enrollment, new programs to be done, and so on and so forth. But if there are certain things which have come from the ministry, from the vice chancellor's office, which need to be very urgently looked at, then we might have an emergency meeting at 1 day's short notice also. But the thing is, then you can't make every meeting an emergency meeting. Emergent meeting is only for those unanticipated things, which are there. So therefore, I would just like to repeat myself and say that it all depends on the objectives of the meeting. I mean, the objectives or the aims or the goals, which why should we have a meeting? But at the same time, I must also say, for a principal who thinks that she is able to do everything herself, she might find meetings very useless. For the head of the department who thinks that the subordinates are not trustworthy, do not have the capability, cannot give input, and doesn't believe in democratic procedures to be followed in the school, they may not have a meeting. So what I am trying to say is this, that the attributes of the persons who are at the helm of the affairs, the need of the hour, the processes which need to be put in motion, because you want your teachers to be to meet regularly, exchange ideas, discuss issues, discuss problems, arrive at solutions, and you think that meeting together is a good thing to motivate everybody. It kind of makes them feel very spirited, and they feel they are a part of an organization, they are contributing, organization is taking care of their needs, and so on and so forth. So it depends on a whole lot of things, or like what James said, that you have a meeting which is either at a short notice or has no agenda. Again, it shows some kind of a lack of trust in the process, in the democratic process, lack of trust and confidence amongst the faculty, that they can be given this thing of preparing and coming for the meeting. So therefore you need to prepare in advance. So a whole lot of complex factors can actually be there for a meeting to take place or not take place. One will really have to look at what is it that causes does not actually why do people not get into effective utilization of meetings, setting up meetings? Why don't they believe in these processes? If they believe, are they doing a good job? If they do a good job, are they implementing, are they following it up also? So all these actually differ from person to person, institution to institution, and so on. I hope I have answered what you wanted to ask.
Yes, madam. Thank you.
All right. So I think we just have about 3 to 4 minutes left, and I have observed today that while all of those who are present here have been able to make a good contribution. I'm still wondering about the others who are not able to join. I wonder if messages on their WhatsApp, on the WhatsApp group, were given to them, and they are aware that these sessions will eventually help them also, because it's always better to discuss and then to read, so that your mind is prepared for what is going to come in. uh, so if they are not informed, please do inform them. And like all of you have already said that you find the sessions quite useful, I'm sure that the same can be communicated to the rest of the group, that they should join, and they'll also find the sessions useful, and it will help them also to navigate the course, the program, and the courses more effectively. So if that is done, we'll have more attendance and we'll have more views coming in, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. All right. And I
Zo ki
hope,
buɗe wayar.
pardon me?
Sorry.
No, did you say something which I missed? Okay. So I think I will now close the session, and I hope you found the session, which comprised of three different strategies of educational management. I hope you found them useful and interesting. And I think basically this is how it is going to be. Most of us are taking sessions and trying to make them useful by even kind of anticipating your needs there in different parts of Africa and so on, and hope we are succeeding. And the sessions are getting enriched with your inputs also. That's why I wanted more people to be here. So anyway, so I think I'll take leave now. We'll come to the end of the session, and then we'll meet subsequently later on. So just request. So I think I'll take leave of all of you, and probably,
Thank you, madam.
yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks and bye to all of you. And yeah, I think we'll close this meeting. Regional Center, there are